Hey guys, our devotion today is from Ephesians chapter 1, and we're looking at the first half of the chapter. But before we get into that, I want to remind you today, let's be in prayer for the Starkey family Jacob, Brooke, Zach, and little Penelope. Let's remember to be in prayer for them today. Today, our passage is all about the grace of God. He's full of grace, and from the terminology that's used in this passage, he is rich in grace. I mean, God is loaded with it when it comes to grace. He has an abundance of it. He'll never run out of it. He has more and more and more than we need, which is hard to fathom. We think about the difference between grace and mercy. Mercy being when we don't receive the punishment that we deserve. Grace being when we receive the good things that we didn't deserve, and there was no way that we could ever have achieved or gotten on our own. And God has more good to give to us than we could ever need, imagine, or dream of. There's several images of the grace of God and His riches and how that is poured out to us in this chapter. But before we look at that, I want you to just think of somebody in your life, somebody that you would want to show grace to, somebody that you would want to show goodness to, that you would want to pour out your love on. I imagine there is somebody in your life like that. You're thinking about it, that person at this time. And I would also guess that the reason that you love this person, the reason that you want to show goodness to them is not because of anything that they've done. Maybe in some way it is, but in general it's probably just because you love them. If you were to win the lottery today, they might be the first person you'd call up and say, I just want to bless you because I can. And you do that already. You bless them in ways that you can, not because you expect anything from them, but just because you love them and you want to show grace to them. And I feel like that's the same way with us and God. He has a abundance of grace that He wants to pour out on us. It says that He blesses us with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places. I think that's important, especially when you think about the early church, the Ephesian church. They were probably facing a lot of persecution in their everyday life for following Christ. And I think part of what Paul wanted them to understand is that God's blessings are not just for here and now. Of course, He does take care of us and He gives us what we need here and now, but there's blessings, spiritual blessings through the Holy Spirit, here and now and later to come. As we look forward to spending eternity with God, I really believe we have no understanding the goodness that God has prepared to pour out on us during that time. But He uses also these two images. One, He says, we have been adopted through sonship. We've become sons of God through adoption, and He also talks about the inheritance that we have. And if you think about it, both those images in this chapter, both of them are things that from an earthly standpoint you cannot achieve by trying, and you can't do anything to deserve them. If you're adopted, it's because someone had grace towards you, someone loved you unconditionally and brought you into their family. If you have an inheritance today, it's because you were lucky enough to be born at the right time and at the right place in order to receive an inheritance. And yet God gives us both of these things. There's nothing we could have done to earn them. He adopted us. He brought us into the family, and therefore we have received an inheritance. He wants to pour out His grace on us. And so it's not about us, though, today. We want to focus on God. And of course, part of that is just praising Him for what He means to us. And so a great opportunity for us to worship Him today. Meditate on His grace, on all the good things that He's poured out on you today that you didn't deserve, and also look forward to that eternity of goodness and of worshiping Him and of experiencing His good blessings and gifts. God bless you guys.